Welcome to Sam's Russian Adventures. It is a glorious evening here in Russia. It's about 15 degrees. First time we've had 15 degrees so far this year in my region. It's the 16th of April today. It's great to just walk around in this peaceful area, and I'm sure as soon as I even said the word peaceful, that activated some dog in the distance. It's now going to start barking. But I'm just going to walk around this area, talk a little bit about the area, and also talk a little bit about the differences between the UK and Russia. Differences that are not so kind of in your face different, but are still different anyway. So you can see here we've got loads of new houses, new developments on this side of the road. All built from the same bricks, I'm guessing all built by the same company, perhaps they're for sale. So this area here is a brand new micro rayon. That's what they call it in Russia. It's like a brand new area on the edge of town. Now, in the past, this area here, there was people that lived further down the road. There was lots of 5-floor panel houses. It's next to the railway track. There's a hospital here, and there's a little bit of infrastructure. There was probably about, I'd say, 5, maybe 10,000 people lived here, but over the last 10 years, we've had absolutely massive development. We've got huge sky-rise apartments. Well, I say sky-rise, probably like 20-floor apartments, but loads of them behind my shoulder over there. And then we've had lots and lots of private houses built, and this has created this whole entire new area on the edge of Vladimir. In the past, this area used to be known as the gypsy area because loads of gypsies would hang out here, but that is now a thing of the past. And we've got loads of these brand new, really cool houses. Now, it's got a bit of a feel like a building site to it, even though some of these houses on the other side of the road, look behind me, have been here for a while. Because we've got so much construction going on, and even we've got kind of like old houses that are being demolished and new houses that are built in its place, it has got that kind of building site feel to it. I think within probably, I don't know, 10-15 years, this will be a really nice place to live. Currently, it's kind of like an area that's developing. Oh, I'm a bit knackered. If only I could find a nice seat. So this road, you can see, is straight anyway. We've had people planting stuff at the side of the road, but as I say, it's all kind of newish, and so it's going to take a while for it to kind of develop and grow. This house here is a house from the 90s. You can see its style immediately. This would have once been the coolest house on the street. And here we've got an empty plot. If you fancy building your mansion here, another 90s style house. It's easy, of course, to look at houses like this one behind me from the 90s and think absolutely awful, right? But at the end of the day, there was no internet. These people were getting the ideas from I guess, like, you know, magazines and stuff, and then also, you know, what kind of materials were available. It was a different time completely, and so yeah, now those houses that were probably once really cool are now kind of dated. I'm not sure if I like this area, to be fair, because you can see that behind there we've got loads of these apartments, and there's a crazy amount of people living there. You'll notice the high fences, but you'd want high fences, wouldn't you, if you knew that just over there we've got massive apartment blocks, right? So you'd want to keep yourself private here. I saw an advert for a company who is building houses, and they're building houses pretty cheap in Russia. I think 6 million rubles, which is about, I don't know, $55,000, something like that, can get you a really nice house made from wood near to St. Petersburg. This company are building. I'm sure they can probably build the same houses anywhere in Russia, or other companies can build the same house if you show them that company. If you're on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, Samuel Sam_Highland, I think my Instagram is. The link's on my YouTube channel homepage anyway. And just ask me, Sam, can you send me the link to the company who's building houses for like 6 million rubles? Just ask me that question, right? Don't just follow me and say nothing, because I won't know to send you the link. But if you say that, I've got no affiliation to that company at all, but I just keep my eyes on what's going on in the kind of real estate world. Obviously, I'm building a house, and it's interesting for me to see the types of things that are available and the types of prices, so that I can give advice to other people coming to Russia. And so, yeah, you know, shoot me a message on Instagram, and I'll send you some links of some companies just to kind of show you what you can get for your money. So this is like the dividing line between the private housing area, which is over there, and then the huge area of apartments, which goes back for just like, well, I'll walk there in another day and show you. It's nice that they've got this kind of like walkway for bikes on one side and people on the other side. And you can see it's got the kind of still the building site feel going on, right? Kind of half completed. So on this side we've got lots of development going on as well. Look at house number 22. Got a couple of chairs up there, look. Guess people are chilling out. Looks like some people might already be living there. So the first thing that I want to say in this video, which I find very strange, okay, now I know that Russia has opened up the ability now to come to Russia on what's known as the shared values visa and become a Russian resident pretty much immediately after arriving in Russia, something that was impossible to even imagine before. It took me 10 years to get to that stage. But the one thing that did was it meant that only people that really wanted to succeed in Russia would try and move to Russia. The only thing that worries me with the new ability for people to become residents immediately in Russia is that it's going to attract people that are not necessarily even really keen on coming to Russia. They just want to escape where they're from, and they see Russia as a cheaper option. Now, Russia is probably a cheaper option than most places in the Western world, I guess, right? But does that mean you should just come to Russia just because it's cheaper and you don't like where you live? So I just got stopped by the second lady today. I was filming another video earlier and I got stopped by a different lady. She wanted to know why I was here and what I was filming and why I was filming. It's interesting, right? How I guess it's the same in any country. I'm sure if there's a Russian person walking around in the UK, then people are going to go up to them and ask them what they're filming, right? It's the same. And so it's just a thing here. But if you're not filming, no one's going to ask you anything. It's just a hazard of the YouTuber occupation. I wonder if it's going to be a flat roof. It looks like it. Now, obviously, I don't have the right to tell anyone what they should or shouldn't do. I'm just here to provide information about the country that I live in so that people can make a choice if they want to come and live here. But in the past, people knew how difficult Russia was, and therefore it was only people that were so keen to succeed here that moved here. And now I see families that are moving here, and people are shocked to find the basic things that pretty much everyone should know about Russia, and they only just find out about them when they arrive here. I had a couple that were thinking about moving here speaking to me on the phone not long ago, because I take free phone calls if you're interested in moving to Russia. No sale, not trying to sell you anything, just you can ask me any question you want. Go to samsrussianadventures.com and book a free call. But this family, they were on the verge of coming, and they said to me, and we've just found out that you have a different currency to the one we have in the US. And I'm like, wow, blimey, you're on the verge of moving and you don't even know simple things like Russia has a different currency. That is pretty crazy. So the first difference, which is an interesting difference that I was pretty shocked that a Canadian family that moved to Russia not long ago didn't know until they were already here, and that is that Russians celebrate Christmas on a different day, on a different date entirely. They celebrate it on the 7th of January, and it's not a commercial celebration, it's just a religious celebration. So I mean, obviously everybody is at different levels when it comes to their knowledge about Russia, but I'm hoping that if you're on the verge of moving to Russia, or if you're already here, then it's not going to be a shock to you that New Year is the main winter celebration in Russia and not Christmas. And there's different ways that Russia celebrates New Year. It's completely different at the moment that Santa Claus arrives. He's not called Santa Claus, he's called Grandfather Frost, and it's a very different way of celebrating it to how we do in the West, where New Year's kind of like party until 12 o'clock and then woohoo, and then an hour later go home. In Russia, the party doesn't start until New Year. You can go to someone's house to celebrate New Year and you can arrive at like 11ish and kind of get settled down, gets to midnight, party begins. I can see a cat just chilling out on there. Hello. Привет. Oh. So of course the Christmas break or the winter season break in Russia is longer than in the West. Kids have longer off school, and also the country pretty much shuts down until the 7th till the 8th, usually maybe until the 10th. So from the 31st until the 10th people aren't working, although more and more often now you're finding that people are going back to work earlier and businesses are opening earlier again, because, well, just like in the West, you know, you have your holidays, your traditional period, but the demands of customers mean that businesses need to open. You'll notice that these are all different housing styles, and you'll also notice that the road is non-existent. That's because in Russia people purchase their own plot of land and build the house that they want to build, and then eventually the government will pave the road, but not until everyone's built, so the road doesn't get destroyed. This is a townhouse, look, split into two houses. This one's still being built. We've got people living next door. This seems to be the dumping ground for all the people that have built and didn't know what to do with the things that were left over. These people have got the right idea, right? All the trees covering the fence so no one can see in. Here it's like brand new. You know, you can see that nothing's been planted yet. It's like brand new roads. It's like got that whole brand new building site feel to it. So if you're a kid and you're watching this, then you might be surprised to know that Russian schools work 6 days a week. Typically you go to school on Saturdays as well. How do you feel about that, going to school on a Saturday? And quite often the school has loads of students, and so they have kind of 2 different times when people go to school. This is a nice little road, isn't it? Sounds like there's a big dog at the end. I'm not going to go much further. So the schools are working 2, what's the English word? Smiena. 2 shifts. a day. There'll be kids that'll start at 8 o'clock and work all the way, I think, till like 12 or 1, and then there'll be lunch, and then there'll be the other kids that come probably at 1 o'clock and go all the way until the evening. It's interesting. What would you prefer to do? Would you prefer to have the afternoon evening school, or would you prefer to have the early morning school? And how do you feel about going to school on Saturdays? I can tell you the one good thing about having that extra day at school is in summer you're going to get pretty much the best part of 3 months holiday. You're going to have the whole summer off to do whatever it is you want to do, to go to your parents' dacha, to go and stay at your grandma's. It's become a big thing now, and a big problem in fact for Russian families, because now so many more families have 2 working people in the family, and of course there's no one to look after the kids, so we have so many more businesses that are catering to that. Now in the Soviet Union you would have had the summer camps that the kids would have gone off to for a couple of weeks at a time and given the parents or the grandparents a bit of a rest. But now a lot of those camps are very expensive, but we have so many more different businesses that specialize in helping find things for the kids to do and teaching kids as well. They're still called summer camps, even if they're not actual camps. They're just kind of like daytime camps. You have lots of English schools or football schools or different types of businesses that cater to teaching their students particular things. So in the summer the kids aren't just relaxing and doing nothing, they're learning something. So they can become a specialist during the summer by attending different types of activities in schools. My parents bought a house on a building site. We were the first people to live on the road, and so I remember exactly what it was like to live in a brand new area where everything's completely new. There's no plants, no nothing, and then over time everything gets built, right? It's a long way back to my car. Look, the bus is here. The bus has arrived, although it's a bit of a small bus. I don't know if anyone's gonna, well, it's gonna be a limit to how many people can sit inside, I guess. So Russia is not big on recycling yet. Just the people and the country as a whole is not as big and concerned about recycling and about saving the planet as it appears the rest of the world are. Some countries like Germany, well, they're on a different level already. In Russian supermarkets they use an awful lot of plastic bags. They put plastic bags to cover the things you buy, whether that be fruit or chemicals or whatever, and then they put those plastic bags inside other plastic bags. These more like townhouses. Now that's not to say that the Russian people don't care about the planet. The Soviet Union wasn't so big on recycling. In the Soviet Union they seemed to build more things for purpose to get things done, and I think the idea was we have a lot of land, and so it doesn't matter if certain places get a bit destroyed while we're going about our business. Now a lot of those places in the 90s ended up, well, people found out that they were extremely toxic, but now a lot of those towns have really been looked after to make sure that quite often chemical wastes have now been properly disposed of to, well, help the ecology of the region, because obviously when it's not really a massive thing to look after the people's health, it can't be good, can it? What do you prefer? Do you prefer these big houses here with the high fences, or do you prefer these 3-floor like townhouse apartments with the clear fence? They still need to do the road, obviously. Look here, you can see that most of these houses have got a barbecue in them. So I don't want to get into a huge debate about saving the environment and about who cares most for the environment, because I know a lot of Russians will probably listen to my words and say, oh come on, the UK might say that it's caring about the environment, but then it just dumps its waste in Africa somewhere, so really it's not doing anything. I'm not trying to get into this debate. At the end of the day, if you're Russian and you live in Russia, you'll know and you'll see, especially if you've lived in the UK or somewhere else, that Russia is not as big on trying to, I don't know, person to person save the environment. Next we have buying bottled water. In Russia, bottled water is a massive business, just as it has become so in the UK. But in Russia, people buy these big 5-litre bottles of water, and a lot of the time you can have water delivered to your house or to your business. Also, in between kind of blocks of apartments, you have this like special water that you can go and fill up, that's like good drinking water. And so in Russia, people don't particularly use the tap for drinking, although when I said that in another video, I got loads of hate from the Russians who all said that they all use the tap for drinking. I then did a poll to ask my Instagram subscribers, or are they subscribers? They're followers, if they use tap water for drinking in Russia, and everyone said no. I then found out that the Russian people who were saying that to me then changed their story a little bit and said, we boil the water first. But still, I don't know many people that even drink the water after boiling it. Now, it might be that the water in Russia is fine for drinking. However, the kind of general feeling among the population is that it isn't fine for drinking. I've had this discussion with so many people now, and people have said, look Sam, even if you boil it, then you know there's so many bad chemicals in the water. And I guess it differs from region to region, but in the UK generally people drink from the tap, or they have one of these little jugs that is like a filter that makes the water softer, but typically the water is already good for drinking. Whereas in Russia, well, I don't drink from the tap, and I've actually got filters on my water as well. Now, of course, in the UK, we have 2 taps on the sink. When I was growing up, I just thought that this is going to be everywhere in the world, right? You have a hot tap and you have a cold tap. In Russia, you don't have that. You just have 1 tap. It's interesting, and it makes sense. What's the point in having 2 taps? If you want to wash your hands, you have to put your hands into a bit of cold and then into a bit of hot and then back into the cold again, and you can potentially kind of burn your fingers, burn your hand, right? Whereas just having 1 tap makes sense, and you just turn it to the direction you want and kind of make it lukewarm to wash your hands. Makes sense. So I'd say Russia definitely wins. If this was a competition list comparing the UK and Russia, Russia would definitely win with that one. So we've got, this is possibly 2 houses in one, I'm not sure. Looks like it is, but this side of the house is a lot nicer, isn't it? So next we have a couple of road differences. Obviously, apart from the fact we drive on the other side of the road. In Russia, the traffic lights on the roads have timers on them. It's really interesting. I remember when they didn't have timers, but now lots of traffic lights have been upgraded and replaced, and they have timers. It makes it so much more relaxing waiting at the lights, knowing that you've got, well, 2 minutes and the timer's ticking away, and so you don't have to think, oh, how long is it going to be till these lights change. I think it's a really good thing. I haven't seen that in the UK. Perhaps they do have it now in the UK. Let me know if they do. But this is something that's really beneficial, because in essence you can say, right, I've got 2 minutes, let me look on my phone, right, or let me do something. I know I'm stuck here, I've got nothing to do for this next however long it's going to take, right? Now, a difference from the UK when it comes to speed cameras is that typically in Russia there won't be any signs warning of speed cameras. There will just be speed cameras, and quite often they can be hiding somewhere, maybe in a bush or something like that. And so you can get speeding fines when you don't even know. Now, when you drive through villages in Russia, quite often there is a sign saying that there's a camera. So it's not everywhere, but typically through the town, you're not going to see speeding signs. You're just going to get a speeding fine. But the difference compared to the UK is, well, in the UK, you'll get a speeding ticket, you'll get 3 points on your license. You can only get, is it 6 points now before you get banned? In Russia, you just get a fine. So you can essentially get as many fines as you want. It'll just come to your what do you call it, police app thing you've got, or it'll come to your Gosselslugi app and you'll just pay the fine. A couple of funny things when it comes to Russia. The kind of house name, the short name for Ivan is Vanka. So wanker, basically. And so sometimes, and I've known some Ivans that have been pretty horrible people, and they said to me, I'm Vanka, and I'm like, yeah, I know you are. Obviously they don't know what that means, right? In fact, sometimes when I tell my Russian friends that Vanka in the UK is probably the most commonly used swear word, they think it's quite funny. And also Russians will do this to you, peace, and you'll think, don't do that in the UK. I've only done 7,000 steps, so I've got 3,000 more to do. Oh man. So I'll tell you these last 2 points that I've got on my list, and they are in Russia, people speak in the cinema. It's a bit weird. It happens sometimes at the theatre, in maybe like concerts and stuff like that. Obviously it's okay because the music's loud, but you'll get people answer their phone in the cinema, right? Like the film's on and someone will answer the phone, yeah mom, I'm in the cinema, yeah, I'll call you back later, okay, see you, bye. And you think, wow, that's mad, because in the UK that wouldn't happen. I don't know if it's just about the mentality. Russians don't see it as being rude. They don't have that etiquette where they think that people shouldn't answer the phone, and so people talk to each other. Like, I've been to a cinema and people are like, hey Sam, do you want a piece of this pizza? Do you want some popcorn? I'm like, right, aren't you supposed to be quiet? You're supposed to be quiet, aren't you? But yeah, it's a weird one. Let me know, do you speak to people in the cinema? Do I take this road? I can't be bothered to go down there, I don't think. Let's carry on this way. And then the final one for today. Russian men shave their armpits. In the UK, I don't know anyone that shaves their armpits. Well, it was never a thing that people used to do. Perhaps people have started to do it now. If you're living in the UK, let me know. If you're a man, do you shave your armpits or not? Russians do it, and I'm from the UK, so I don't do it. I've done it a few times since I've been here because I felt awkward, but now I've got to the stage in life where I don't care what other people think at all. I'm used to living without shaving my armpits now. Russian people would say, well, you need to shave your armpits because they smell, right? But at the same time, the theory is that the armpit hair helps remove the odor, right? So anyway, whether that's true or not, or it's just something that people make up to make yourself feel better if you've got hairy armpits, maybe that's the reason, right? You let me know. Do you shave your armpits, and do you think it's gross if men don't shave their armpits? I'd be interested to hear or read your opinion. So anyway, that is the end of today's video. A few differences between the UK and Russia that are not so obvious. And also, if you're thinking of coming to Russia and you want to learn or know about Russia, you can book a free call with me, samsrussianadventures.com. I'm not trying to sell you anything, just trying to give you free advice to the best of my ability based on my knowledge. And if it's something I don't know about, I'll point you in the right direction. Okay, hope you've enjoyed today's video. Let me know if you like any of the houses you saw today, what you think of the area, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.